Before we start, I would like to ask your help to do two things. First, tell a friend or two who you think might like the show. And second, please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The more reviews the show gets, the more likely it will even appear in search results. Thank you, and now on to the show.
They make the trek out to Burning Man for a week and a day. After a lot of work, oh, there's a lot of play. Party, 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 drama, 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 bitch, bitch, bitch. Year after year, they come back to scratch that itch. They all say their lives have been changed. After many years, lives have been rearranged. That change is what this show is all about. You'll see the impact of Burning Man up and out. So sit back, relax, and cancel all your plans. These are the stories about the shadow of the man.
Hello, and welcome to the Shadow of the Man Show. I am your host, Andy. That famous movie star? No, that Andy. Today, our guest is Twan, the one and only the Twan. Yes, welcome.
I can speak?
You can speak now.
Hey, hello.
So, Twan, were you the first or one of the first regional contacts from
No,
LA?
the first regional. You know what's interesting now that I'm here talking to you? I wonder if I should use people's names before having talked to them previously. But there's a woman.
Well, what are you going to say?
Well, but I mean, I won't give her real name, but the name she used. It was Hurricane Linda. Was the first regional in LA. And
official, from
yeah, official.
Okay.
Yeah, and like when Burning Man finally changed their servers and gave all the regionals a BurningMan.com address. So she was LA at BurningMan.com, the first of that. And but before that happened, before Burning Man took over those listservs, the community around the whole world was organically cropping up.
And so when was this? What year?
Well, it was 97. It was my first year, and after people came back from Burning Man 1997, this just kind of organically happened around the world. Is people started realizing that when they get back to their hometowns, they wanted to hang out with other burners. And so all these people just started randomly, without there wasn't a memo that went out.
Yeah.
Just people randomly around the country and around the world started creating their own community-based listservs, discussion email lists, and so we had a guy named Mayor Jim. He was the first mayor of Giggsville, which is one of the first early villages at Burning Man, LA-based village at Burning Man. And he was known as the mayor of Giggsville, and he set up a listserv for us called, it was at hitchhiker.com. I don't think it exists anymore, but so it was that first, then it moved over to topica.com, which was a listserv, web-based listserv website, and then Burning Man decided that they want to fold all these organically grown regionals under their umbrella.
Now, this was talking about email lists.
Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, email lists. And this is long before social media kind of took things over. So I don't know how popular these email lists are these days. I don't really use them. Not these days, email's kind of an annoyance, Yeah. But so Hurricane Linda was running that list. She was also part of the Giggsville, and I was going to be part of Giggsville, and I ended up meeting Pepe Ozan, the late great Pepe Ozan, who's the first man to bring large art to the playa, and I had met up fortuitously with Pepe, and I got whisked away to Pepe's Burning Man opera, which are legendary. Which is more my kind of thing to do. And so I didn't join up with the Giggsville people, though I became friends with all of them for the most part.
But this is after you first started. Like, your first year was what, 97?
97, but this pretty quickly after 97. This all happening before 98, you know. So
how did you hook up with Pepe? Because you were at home in L.A.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, how did you hook up with him there outside of
serendipity, man. It's unreal. I've been really lucky in my life in general because anything that I found a deep interest in, something that gave me real great pleasure, the doors to the inner circle would always seem to open up. Like I was into like auto racing. I still am, like Formula One racing and all that. And in the early 90s, late 80s, I ended up hooking up with an IndyCar racing team run by, Enzo Ferrari's great-grand nephew. Antonio Ferrari owned the team, and I ended up traveling around the country with the team, and it's kind of like being on tour with a rock band, It was super fun. But the point is, I was a big fan of that kind of world, and then next thing I know, I'm meeting all the movers and shakers in that world, and the door opens to the inside of that world. When I went to Burning Man, my first year, I was just a participant there, but very, very quickly after that, the doors just start opening, and I took those opportunities. That kind of happened with meeting Pepe.
Well, how did you even hear of Burning Man? Like what actually got you to go in the first place?
Well, I was deeply involved with the LA underground party scene, starting in the starting 1990.
Okay.
And starting about 1992, maybe 93, through that world, that party world, underground party world in LA and elsewhere, I would hear about this crazy event called Burning Man way out in the Nevada desert. And it sounded fantastic, but I didn't know that much about it. And to me, it sounded like, it's another rave in the desert. And in Southern California, we were already having all kinds of desert parties like the Moon Tribe Collective, which still goes on now. At full moons, Moon Tribe goes out to the desert, and they've got a loyal following. It's been going on for decades now. And so I was already going to these desert parties. And so I thought, well, why am I going to go all the way to northern Nevada to go to a desert rave? I'm already doing it. I'll go someday. But had I known what I was missing and what it was really about, I would have started going back in 93. Then in 96, I had a really good friend call me. He was on his way to Burning Man. He says, dude, you got to come to this thing. And I had work going on and stuff, and I came so close to going. And that's my one big regret, not going to Burning Man 96, which you did.
Yeah, the last kind of crazy, uncontrolled year.
That's right, no rules. They had the drive-by shooting range.
Yeah.
It was total recklessness.
Dogs, cats, guns.
Yeah. And so I really hate that I missed that. But I knew about the opera, Pepe's opera. So my friend Mike came back from that, and he said, oh, my God, I saw this thing out there. It was crazy. He tried to explain it to me. It's a really fascinating story. So the next year when I finally did go, and as soon as I got there, I knew it's like, oh, yeah, this is my place. This is where I belong. I just felt completely organically suited to that place. And so I made a point to see the opera, which back then, the opera was a big thing. Everyone knew the night that the man was burning. And the night before the man burned at midnight was Pepe's Burning Man opera. So it was like everyone knew about these two events. Now I think the event is so huge and there's so much going on that if the opera was happening now, it wouldn't be such a big deal as it was back then.
Well, because back then it's like the man burned on Sunday.
That's right.
Like there was no temple.
Yeah.
The man burned on Sunday.
So we were doing the opera on Saturday night at midnight, just like prime time. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It
and
was
also
awesome.
way back when, it's like Burning Man was basically just like a long weekend.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't really like.
I think in '97, my first year, I think it was 5 days.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, I saw the opera that night, and I was like, and then I found out that anybody that goes to Burning Man, if you want to be part of the opera, you can. You just go to the opera camp. It was called Tower Camp because Pepe was known for building these towers.
Lingams, right? Yeah.
The Lingams, yeah. He built these towers, and you can see it on. It looks like it was built in 1994. The BurningManOpera.org, or if you go .com, it'll take you to the .org website. BurningManOpera.org website, and you can see, there's all this historical stuff like Pepe's old 1993 Lingham's. You know, he just made these tall towers that he'd set on fire. And in 1996, he decided to turn it into a quote unquote opera. So he just had a bunch of his San Francisco friends get together. He wrote some sort of script around it, and he built this giant stage, which is just this amazing work of art, so that the participants can enjoy it all week. And then the night of the opera, Saturday night, at that time, Saturday night at midnight, they had these crazy performances that would blow people's minds, and they'd burn it. And he'd have all these towers, and he got fire shooting up through the towers, and then eventually the towers fall over, and everyone loves it, you know. And so,
well, they were also using a technology like for making their stages, and also they had these like sculptures and stuff that were surrounding like on it, like these gargoyle kind of.
Oh yeah, that was 1998. Well, no, in '96 he had like gargoyle. He's always got faces. It's true. But in '98 he had these. They were sculptures based on. He was fascinated. Pepe was fascinated with the Hindu culture. He spent a lot of time in India just for inspiration and stuff for the artistic inspiration he got from it. But he built these. Shiva and these poses, these classic Indian poses, but he put big insect heads on them. And they were this alien.
But how they built them was really cool. Like it was basically a metal mesh.
Yeah.
And then they covered it in ply mud.
Yeah, they go to Fly Hot Springs. Back then, Burning Man now owns Fly Hot Springs, and it's like a conservation area. It's really cool what they've done there. But back in the day, it was owned by a family, and Pepe knew a guy there, and they had a friendship, and the guy gave Pepe the key to the gate. So we'd go out early to build Pepe's temple stage, and at the hottest part of the day, we would hop in his truck, drive down to the Fly Hot Springs, and unlock the gate, and we had the Fly Hot Springs all to ourselves. But it was also to relieve ourselves in the water, but it was also to we had all these like 5-gallon buckets, like hundreds of them, and we would all be in there just filling them up full of mud, and we'd bring them back to the playa, and then we would mud the mesh. And then when it would dry, it dries and cracks like the playa ground, so it looks like this organic structure growing out of the dust. It's pretty cool.
Well, we'll get to playa restoration later.
Yeah.
But like, how do you? Something like a metal mesh that you put like mud on it, it dries, and then you light it on fire with wood underneath it and like get around it. Like, what is the cleanup of that like?
It's big, yeah. and back then we didn't. Now they use I think it's called denatured. Denatured granite. Like they put that under the mandax. So it won't leave a burn scar.
Decomposed granite.
Decomposed or decomposed or denatured, something, whatever it is. I don't know, but. Back then, it wasn't that, but we'd have to do the cleanup ourselves, and oftentimes, it's just a big metal. It's all bent and broken, and we'd have to pull out the blowtorches and cut them into pieces and throw them on the truck.
And would you
haul them out
with like hammers to get like all the mud, like or like the dried caked on playa?
No, not really. Yeah,
it would just have come off by then.
Yeah, and I think it just becomes part of the playa again.
It's not like fired, like it's now pottery or something.
No, I don't recall any of that. No, but it was a big cleanup. Afterwards. Yeah,
definitely don't do that these days.
Yeah, but it was pretty great. So to get back to your question about how I became the regional and all that. So, but when I met Pepe, you asked how I met him, right?
Yeah, in L.A.
Yeah,
it was like outside of Burning Man. Right?
So it's an interesting. There's so many connections, and it's a bunch of concentric circles intertwined, right? So, my good friend who I met at my first burn, and we're still good friends today, is DA, and DA is in charge of playa restoration. It's an important job at Burning Man, and DA after '97, we became friends. We met there, became friends. And should I tell the story of how that happened?
Well, how you met DA in '97?
Yeah, like I was there with a girlfriend, and I brought all these nail polishes. Not that I'm a big nail polish guy, but I went to garage sales before Burning Man that year, and I bought all kinds of random stuff, and I found these nail polishes. So apparently DA walked by my camp and noticed all these nail polishes and made a note to self, I got to go talk to those people later and see if I could borrow some of their nail polish. Yeah, he was a young guy, 24, 25 years old at that time. And so a little while later, she and I were hanging in the camp, and he came by with a guy named, I don't know why I remember these names. His name is Leighton. And Leighton later formed a band called Odd, A-W-D, that played all around San Francisco, and they played at Burning Man. They were a great band, man, Odd. But anyhow, D.A. and Leighton showed up, and he said, hey, I was walking by earlier, and I saw all those nail polishes. I saw a color I like. Is it be okay if I used it? And we're like, yeah, sit down, join us. So the four of us sat down and put nail polish on, and we've been friends ever since. So, but now he's you know, over the years, he's got this really important job. I mean, playa restoration is a big thing. That's a whole separate topic.
We'll get to that later.
Right.
Yeah,
so he, because we exchanged information, he said, hey, I'm going to be moving to L.A. And I said, okay, awesome. So he does that. And while he's traveling across the country from New Jersey, he's calling me up. We're talking to each other about, you know, where he's going to land. And it turns out he's moving into a house with a girl named Christine, still a good friend, who was part of the opera in those early days. And he moved in with her, and it just happened to be right down the street from my house. And they called me one day and said, hey, we're going to like this spoken word kind of artsy thing at an art gallery in East Hollywood. Would you like to come? And I said, yeah, I'll drive. So I picked them up. They have a guy named Christopher Fueling with them. And so we get talking about Burning Man stuff. You're all excited about that because it's all still new too, you know. And I said to Christopher and to all of them, I said, you know, I'm going back next year, but I'm going to be part of that opera. I don't know what capacity, but I found out anyone who wants to be part of it can be part of it. So I'm going to Tower Camp next year, and I'm going to be part of that. And Christopher says, oh, without like showing me or telling me the level of his involvement at that point. He goes, oh, we should exchange information. I could help you if you want to get involved with the opera. I could help you out with that. I'm like, okay, great. So the next week he calls me and says, hey, so I'm going up to San Francisco to Pepe's house, and wondering if you said you wanted to be part of the opera, wondering if you'd like to come along. And which blew my mind because I knew about Pepe, and I saw the opera, and I've heard about that legendary opera performances, and so I always thought, you know, if I ever meet this guy Pepe, I just want to shake his hand and thank him for doing what he's doing and encourage him to keep doing it because it's the coolest thing on the planet. But I'm going to his house.
You know, so it's like, yeah, I want to go to his house for a couple of days.
Right. And so I go up there with Christopher and D.A. and Christine, four of us piled in the car. We stayed up at his house for 5 days. By the time we're driving back to L.A., I became producer of the opera. Not the, like, you know, with Pepe and Christopher. He had performed in the 1997 opera and convinced Pepe to let him partner with Pepe for the next year's opera as a co-writer and co-director of the opera with Pepe. And so he had that going. Pepe agreed to it. Pepe was like a very open person, like, but you know, you had to kind of prove yourself to him too. He's just he didn't suffer fools. Yeah. You know? And so that was pretty mind blowing, you know. But you know, when we first went up there, Pepe had already made almost all the sculptures for the 1998 opera were completed, and he had already drawn the poster. He made a poster for that year's opera, and he at the bottom he's filling in all the names of credits at that point. But this is like within the first or second day of being at his house, and I hadn't assumed the producer role yet. So I said, well, you know, what could I do? How could I fit in here? And he says, oh, I remember the guy's name now, Jason Norelli. He was a body painter on Pepe's previous operas. So he was listed as a body painter, and Pepe says, oh, we're going to have so many performers, you should join up with Jason and be a body painter. Okay. So I said, okay, great. So in the credits on that poster, it just says Twan and Jason Norelli, body painters. But within the next few days of being at his house, and you know, I've got a long background in motion picture business. I had a production company. I produced a movie. I had produced events. I was involved with LA's underground club scene. I knew how to organize and do things. And when that became more and more apparent, I kind of just slipped into more of a producing role, which I remained in that role from 1998 until the last opera of 2002. So those are some like peak years. So that story been told, going back to like the regional thing. And I was meeting at the Dockweiler Beach, which is like the only beach in Southern California that still allows fire on it. So the burner community would meet there, and they were organizing all that Giggsville. You know, they're going to be the nascent Giggsville.
So Giggsville is like one of the first like villages, pretty much.
One of the first. Yeah. I can't say the first, but I think there were villages before. But and they're big.
Yeah.
In the village at Burning Man are a bunch of camps, small theme camps within a larger camp.
Yeah.
So it's Giggsville and has all these separate entities.
I guess
inside
nowadays
it.
they call them hubs or something.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure what the difference between a hub and a village is. Like, I think I don't know. Maybe it's just semantic kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think the hub, the idea that is like it's like a number of camps that share like some resources.
Yeah.
You know, so like, oh, let's just get like one big generator, and between these 4 camps, like, you know, we'll kind of share that, or like, oh, your water, gray water, or
Yeah.
you know, solar panels.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah,
Shared
blah.
duties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like a village, I think was more of kind of like, it was like an opt-in. You know, it's just like, oh, we're like 5 theme camps from LA, and we hang out during the rest of the year doing this and that. It's like, oh, we're all going to go together and like you know, convoy up together or
Yeah.
share whatever resources.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and they had like they were given a large plot of land because there's gonna be a bunch of separate camps within there, and in the middle of that plot they have like a plaza, and they had the famous barbecue.
Oh,
They'd bring an
yeah.
old burned out car and they just fill it with wood, so the barbecue would always be on fire in the middle of the camp.
Were they actually cooking on it, or
No,
is it just like a fire
I don't know.
pit?
I don't know. Maybe they cooked
That
on
might be a
it.
little toxic.
I don't know. It could be a little toxic.
Because who was I was interviewing someone recently who talked about the barbecue,
Yeah.
and I think Mama Crunchy.
Yeah. Oh, but Crunchy was part of that whole world. Yeah.
And she was just like, yeah, you know, people actually called like fire and like the Rangers said like, there's a car on fire.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, no, that's
Well, because then somebody might throw some magnesium or there's something in there. What's that stuff that burns really bright?
Yeah.
You know?
Do you remember? Okay, I think it was in '97. I think it was '97. Maybe it was '98 or something. But like, someone brought, I think it was like an engine casing. It was like something like either like VW or Porsche.
Oh,
or
right.
something. It was like a magnesium.
Right. And the thing
engine
just burns
casing.
like white hot bright.
Well, they dug a hole in the playa. This was like somewhere like 7:30 or 8 o'clock in like an Esplanade, like what we would call them. But it was '97. It was kind of a little like wonky the
Yeah.
layout. But yeah, someone had dug a hole and put that in and then burned it. And I remember being like a couple of blocks away with like multiple like structures and things in the way, and we were basically blinded.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was
It's
that
it's super bright.
It was like
Yeah,
not
super
even
bright.
like directly looking.
No, it's like
at it.
sunlight. You're looking directly at the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's something else.
I mean, we were talking about just like a little flare, like hanging from some parachute. It's like, wow, that's bright. Like this was an entire.
Yeah.
Like,
It's an engine block. Yeah. It's like a VW engine. I don't remember the car, but yeah.
I don't know how they put that. If they just like bulldoze some like playa like onto it, you know,
Yeah.
just bury it, and like, hey, it'll go out, you know, like.
Yeah, back in none of that kind of stuff happens now. I mean, it's way more controlled and rightfully so. You know, you don't want to go destroying the desert.
Yeah. So you go to '97, '98, you be part of the opera. I mean, so you come
But-
back to LA, like.
Yeah, so I became, instead of Giggsville, I become part of the opera, and producing is more my kind of thing anyway. So that was just like right up my alley. Plus, having seen the opera, I was just like, I couldn't believe my good fortune. It's like, fuck, not only am I involved in this opera, I'm, you know, I mean, I did crazy stuff. Well, I'll tell you when we went to Haiti a little bit later for the 1999 opera, which is based on voodoo.
Oh,
and we went to
wow.
Haiti for that. Let me tell you what we did there. That's a mind blower. But anyhow, I was still meeting up with all the Giggsville people because they were all burners, and we'd still have these gatherings. And even though I was now part of the opera and I wasn't going to be so ensconced with Giggsville, and but there were, you know, my LA community, and so I'd still go there. And this is also really weird because I'm not like an internet IT IT guy or anything, but no one put the opera online. And we had all these like computer people on our team, and also there was no back then everything was done with email lists.
Yeah.
So I went to Jim King, the mayor of Gainesville, and said, "Hey, could you set me up with for the Burning Man Opera for the list?" And at one point we had 1,200 subscribers on that. So I was running that list and still hanging out with Gainesville, and Hurricane Linda was the first regional at that time, and I think she wanted to go and start a family, have a kid or something, and wanted to pass the baton. And because we'd have to talk to her to get confirmation of this, but I think that she came to me and said, "Hey, would you want to be the next regional for LA?" And I think it's because I was already managing large groups of people and stuff, and she thought I'd be a good candidate. And I said, "Yeah, sure." I mean, and she I guess did what she did, pitched it to the org, and they said, "Yeah, okay, cool." And then I became that was June of '99. I stayed the regional in LA from June of '99 till September of 2006. I think I might be the longest reigning regional. There might be maybe Widget. Old friend Widget might still be one of the regionals that came after me. Maybe he's been longer. Maybe Topless Deb, I think she still might be one of the regionals.
Really?
Maybe they've surpassed my 7.25 year tenure.
I think, but it was in terms of regional context of the last. I mean, there's been a number of people who I was 10 years.
You did 10 years in here.
I wonder if there's anyone.
And by the way, we're here at Andy's lovely home on the North Shore of Hawaii while a gnarly storm is blowing through.
Yeah, so if the sound is a little bit different, there's a little bit of an echo. Yeah. This is actually the very first live interview.
Your house? Oh, really?
Other than the shadow shorts out on the playa.
Yeah.
But no, for a regular long form, most of the interviews I just do on Zoom.
First interview done at your house?
Yeah, first.
Awesome. Yeah. I love being here because I'm SoCal based, so it's nice being in Hawaii right now. And Andy, if you don't know, was the Hawaii regional.
Yeah.
You say 10 years you were the regional?
10 years.
Damn.
Yeah. It's 2002, 2012, something like that.
Yeah. Good
times.
times.
Well, back to you. This show's not about me.
Yeah.
It's Twan show today.
Yeah. Okay.
So roughly late '90s, you become as the regional contact.
Well, I had dual duties. I was totally ensconced in Pepe's opera, and at the same time, in 1999, becoming the LA regional. So I had double duties, And let's see. So one of my primary objectives was to set up a proper LA decom. Like San Francisco had their Burning Man decompression parties. The month after Burning Man ends, and there were some other regions. Like a big region was in Texas, Austin, Texas, I believe.
Yeah, Flipside.
George Papp and his partners. And they did Burning Flipside, which was, I've never been, and I always wanted to.
Yeah.
I've heard it was just absolutely fantastic. Have you been to that one?
No.
Yeah. So, I wanted to do that, and the org would like to see that happen, but they're not forcing, hey, make it happen, and so it took 3 years, and instead I just couldn't see the right situation. And it's where's the money going to come from? Burning Man's not giving the regions money, financial help, or so it's kind of up to the region to figure out how to do that. And so, but we had so many disparate groups of artists and creators and just interesting people, music makers, spread throughout LA. It's a huge city, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of those people, I found myself in a very unique position as the regional because I'm kind of up on a plateau overlooking the land. Mm-hmm. And there's all these groups that don't even necessarily know about each other. And I'm like, well, because I'm in this position now, I'm getting to talk and meet many, many different people and groups of people. And I get invited to a little event they're having, or they're building some art and they want me to come see it and support it any way I can. And so I'm meeting all these people, and I start thinking, you know what? those folks over there need to hook up with them, or that person from that group needs to meet so and so from that group, you know, and so and through the email list, and also being the sole regional, which is like LA's now got 10 regional contacts, and I was the sole regional contact, so it was kind of. But luckily, I had my finger on the pulse of what Burning Man's about. Yeah. I was big on that ethos, and to spread that around, and also just I know how to have fun, you know. And I spent my whole life doing that, you know. And part of having fun is inviting other people into it, like you know, who could be your co-conspirators, you know. And so. All these different groups would start having like parties and the Do Lab, for example, which is now have created. So three brothers and some other partners had created. They were known as the Do Lab, and they now have and have had for a long time now, many years now, is Lightning in a Bottle, which is like one of the preeminent festivals of the world. People come from all over the world to go to that festival, and it's fantastic. But they started as these three young brothers in LA throwing oftentimes illegal warehouse parties, and I would go to those parties because before I promote something, I need to go see it, if it's right for the community, for me to spread the word about it. And,
so
and it was totally.
So you did it in the opposite way of the Fire Festival? Is that what you're saying?
The Fire Festival.
Like, no, they started with the promotions, and then only after they like collected a bunch of money. And sold
it all fell apart.
Oh, wait a minute, we need to find a place to do it now.
right. But no, but Do Lab, it was like their Do Lab parties were just awesome, and it was like, and they're all burners, and they had that right attitude, and so I started promoting those parties. So, and I had like 5,000 at one point. Like before I left, there's 5,000 people on that LA list, and so if you're a party promoter and you're like from the Burning Man world, and you had that vibe. Who else do you want at your party but a whole bunch of other burners? So I helped get burners to people's parties, you know. And there was like the space wench, which is the space wench is the name of an art car. It's like a pirate ship, but I can't remember now. Space Island. That was where they all built their art. A bunch of artists living together, and they would throw these awesome parties, and were represented on the Playa year after year. They're just great. So the whole community was just all coming together, right? And but we didn't have a proper decom yet, and I couldn't see how to do it or how to fund it. I'm not made of money, so I'm not going to fund it myself. Yeah. Plus, that's a sure way to lose your money oftentimes. So what we did instead, or what I did instead, is I called it the decompression series, because like after Burning Man, all the camps came back from Burning Man. All these different groups of artists and collectives would throw their own parties, their own little decom parties, and then I would promote them, and so people from the Burning Man community would go to all these different parties. So it's like over like the next consecutive 6 weekends, there's multiple parties going on. So I called it the decompression series, right? But then, rest in peace, good friend Mark Bava. Mark Bava moved down from San Francisco to LA. What a dude! Yeah. So he was partners with a guy named Joe Bullock, who also has passed away a couple of years ago. Another amazing human being. And Joe and Mark Bava were partners in party partners, party throwers. And in San Francisco, they threw like the Anon salons, and I think they did the Flambe Lounge. I'm not sure. These are parties going up there, and I think that they'd have the I don't know if it still goes on. It was called the Sea of Dreams party, which was a New Year's Eve party, and all their events just went off. So at one point, Mark, like this is about in 2002, Mark moved down to LA, and he and his brother and his sister-in-law, who all three perished in a car wreck in 2012. Oh wow! Yeah, that was a sad day. Anyway, Mark had become a very, very close friend. But anyhow, they bought this bar in downtown LA in the artist district. It was called Little Pedro's, But they changed the name to Blue Bongo, so it became Little Pedro's Blue Bongo.
Blue what?
Blue Bongo.
Bongo.
Like
Oh,
bongo
okay.
drums.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of became the de facto Burning Man hangout. But at first it was just like, because I befriended Bava the year before. One of my collaborators, longtime burners, a guy named Paul Carey, another amazing human being, threw a 50th birthday party for himself in 2001 that he'd been planning for decades. Money saved. So of course, burner community, Mutator played at the time when Mutator was big. He had 2 stages, 2 Hollywood sound stages that were rented.
Wow.
And Bava and Joe Bullock came down to help out with the organization, or perhaps maybe just to be there. And that's when I first met Bava. I had already known Joe because Joe, on the playa working with Burning Man, he would for the Burning Man opera, we would need a sound system. So I would have to go to Joe, and he arranged a sound system that would all be delivered out there. And, so I already was familiar with Joe, but I'd never met Mark until he came down to Paul Carey's 50th birthday party, which was just legendary, And we became friends then. But the next year he moved there and had that bar. So I started hanging at that bar with some close insiders to me. So it was like the insiders kind of Burning Man secret bar.
Yeah.
But then it just, he started having events and DJs, whatever, live music. And you'd have events that would be appropriate for me promoting on the LA burner list. So it became like the de facto LA burner hangout.
Okay.
It was great. So that was in 2002. So by 2003, I started thinking, because he's got a liquor license and everything with that bar, and we're in the arts district, and there's a street right out in front of his bar that's a little used street. And so I went to Bava and I said, "Hey, Bav, what do you think about us doing like a decompression Burning Man, LA Burning Man decompression street fair right here? Have the bar be the central to it. We get the street closed off, get permits to close off the street, and without any hesitation, Bava says, I got contacts at the permit office, and it's like the next person I went to, so Bava was the first, and so Mark Bava didn't move to LA, perhaps it would have never happened. So Bava was instrumental.
Was he just waiting for you to say that?
Yeah, well, it could have been. But man, it was just, I got goosebumps talking about it. It's just like, it's like the serendipity of my life also. It's just like, the next person I went to was Paul Carey, because he's a very resourceful guy. And then, very quickly, and I'm good at doing this too, is putting a team together, like a good team. But I had a friend back then who he threw these loft parties. They were called the Red Loft. He painted it all red, and he lived there. But he'd throw these parties, I think, maybe help him pay the rent. But they were total burner parties. They were off the hook. They happened frequently. So everyone knew Paney. So Paney says, he didn't help us with the organization of the event, the first LA DCOM, but he provided the space.
Okay.
So, this could be our meeting space. So I was able to assemble a group of 13 people that I knew fairly well and that were doers, movers, and shakers, and I knew they could get shit done. Athena Damas was one of them who I believe you interviewed.
Oh, yeah.
Athena was instrumental. Shiho Yoshida, who's been a ranger for years at Burning Man. She's indispensable. Other DJ friends who know how to organize and throw their own parties. So we would have 3 or 4 stages. And so it'd be like, there's Eric Wolford, he's DJ Wolfie. So it's like, hey, Wolfie, you want to run that stage? He would bring in whoever he works with. Left that up to him. So as a producer, you don't have to know how to do everything, but you have to know how to assemble the people that know how to do all this shit.
Well, that's the producer's job.
Right. And so we had, I think it was 13 people at that first meeting at Paney's Loft, and it was unbelievable how smooth it was. There was no hissy fits, no ego bullshit, no. It was, and everyone just rose up to. And then, sometimes we're shorthanded, and it's like, here's where Athena was great. She would have a certain role. It's like, I'll handle that. It's like, okay, great. Then we need somebody else to do something, and there was no person for it. She'd say, I can do that. Well, you're already doing the other thing. She goes, yeah, but I got that pretty handled. I could handle this. So then something else would come up. She'd say, I'll do it. She was always willing. Oh, I'll take it on. And after like the third one, it's like, Athena, you're gonna get worn too thin and not be able to be effective at all.
Yeah.
But she handled a lot of things at one time.
Yeah.
So these are like amazing people to have partnered with.
So what was the first decom? Was it
So
2004 or something?
2003.
2003.
The first official one. Some people say, I've got friends even who say, no, we had one before that. It was at the Whiteman Airport, which is where Ray Sereno lived. Ray Sereno, in the early days of Burning Man, he's the guy who created Water Woman. And Ray was an artistic force, and he was great. But we had a big party up at the Whiteman Airport, the small regional airport. Crazy off-the-hook party, but it wasn't an official Burning Man regional. But it was a L.A. burner party. So I got friends who say, no, there were other ones. No, the first official real LA decom was 2003.
So it's like
October 2003.
So has it basically been like an annual thing every year?
No, I was producer of that for the first 4 years. Actually, the fourth year. So I was 2003, 2004, 2005, but 2006 because I left as the regional, and since that event was happening after the 2006 burn, so I was like technically not the regional anymore. But I was part of all their meetings, and the baton had been passed to the three new regionals, and they were taking over the control of producing and organizing the opera. But I was part of that team just because, like, what's the word? Emeritus?
Oh, yeah.
Producer emeritus.
Emeritus.
Right, yeah. So, and then the baton got passed to the various people. So it went on for some years. Then they had to change locations because the Metro put in a big old, the train line where that street was in front of the Blue Bongo. So that was now it's a little narrow walk street. So, but first we had it. The first year we just had the street closed in front of the Blue Bongo, and they had a nice L-shaped parking lot that went around it. So we had outdoor bars, indoor bar. We had stage outside the bongo, the stage inside the bongo. And 3 stages down the street, and art all over the place. LA artists bringing their art and setting it up everywhere. But the first one was just like down the first street, and then like a block down, and then to the left to 1 block. But then the next year, it went down the street to the left and to the right down 2 blocks.
Wow. And
under a bridge, and it was awesome. Those years were just really amazing.
So how's it evolved over the years?
Well, then they moved it to a park in L.A. because, like I said, and then Bava moved back out to Northern Cal to Carmel, and then he passed away. But that was years later, in 2012 when he died. But let's see. Yeah, they had to move it, and at first they moved it way down the street. I actually didn't go that year. I think I was traveling, and then after that they moved it to this park, which became a park. It was an empty field. It was used to be known as the Cornfield in downtown LA, and there's it's like a train yard, trains going through there. And then the city turned into a giant park, put grass there, and they moved it to the park, which is really nice. But I really, myself personally, I like the street fair. I like the immediacy of it, and it's whereas the park, everyone's spread out. And it's nice. It's green, little hilly green stuff. But then something happened. I left. I stopped going after I left as the regional in 2006. I didn't go back to Burning Man for 12 years. So I kind of fell out of the loop and wasn't paying attention. But then apparently something happened with the park, and the regionals, whoever's running it now, lost the ability to do it there. I think the last couple of years, they've done it down at the Masonic Temple in Long Beach, California, which I have not made it to. I wanted to go to the last one, which I think was last year. So I don't know. I think it's catch as catch can. I don't know how it's working out now.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, anyway, you took 12 years off, and then what? 2018.
Yeah, I came back. I came back in 2018 because that's Larry Harvey had died that year, and Larry and I had gotten close. We'd have amazing conversations. Whenever he'd come to LA, he'd stay with me. So I've had personal conversations long into the night, just me and Larry, And so DA called me and said, "Hey, and you ever think about coming back to the Playa?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm still a huge proponent of the Playa. I tell people who haven't been, for sure they should go, but I don't know if I'll go." He goes, "Well, maybe you should come out this year for Larry's memorial." And I said, "You know what?" He goes, I'll arrange for you to be here. I'll get you a gift ticket because, you need to be here." So I got gifted a ticket, and it took something that big to bring me back. Mm-hmm. Not that I have anything against it, but after 10 years straight, and not only 10 years straight of doing Burning Man, but doing it at the level I was doing it. I was producing Pepe's Opera, this amazing thing going on there, and being the LA regional, I was like in it, and it was awesome. It was like some of the peak moments of my life came in that period of time. And so after I stepped out as the regional in 2006, the world's a big place. It's like, I'm not going to just keep going back to Burning Man. It's expensive,
life
too.
moves on. And
Yeah, I traveled. What happened in 2007, it was so great, and it was also kind of serendipitous. I started talking to some longtime burner friends and people who participated with the opera with us, and I said, I'm not going in 2007. That'll be my first time not going in 10 years, and I'm going to go to Europe. I'm going to travel all over Europe. And I had these friends that are like, my buddy Samo, who helped a lot with all these early events. Samo was living abroad a lot at that time of year, and he and his girlfriend, who was also his then girlfriend, a very good friend of mine too, Gypsy. They moved to Amsterdam. So I'm like, I'm going to go hang with Gypsy and Samo in Amsterdam and travel around. I got family in Croatia. Gypsy's got family in Italy. So then I'm telling these burner friends, and they were all saying, we weren't going to go either. We were planning on traveling. So at one point, there were 12 of us. And this is mind-blowing, really, to me anyway. Mm. At one point, we're sailing across the Adriatic Sea from Ancona, Italy, to Split, Croatia, which is right by my dad's hometown. Huh. My dad's from a place called Primošten, which is awesome. And we are in the middle of the Adriatic Sea. Can't see land around. At the same time, the Burning Man is happening. And we're 12 old-time burners, first time not going to Burning Man in years, and we're just laughing, going, oh my God, look where we are. It's the polar opposite, where all our friends are out eating dust right now, and we're in the middle of the sea. It's like
we could drown.
We could drown. Yeah, so it was quite a juxtaposition, Yeah. And so I traveled around Europe, all over the place. I got a bunch of my burner friends, got to meet my family in Croatia. It was awesome, So for 12 years, I just carried on with my life.
Yeah. So going back in 2018 for Larry's memorial, were you thinking like, I'm just gonna go back this one time?
Yeah, I did think that, but I don't put any absolutes on things in my life typically.
One and done, right? You haven't been back since.
No, so after I did that, and Larry's memorial was amazing, and Reverend Billy did the sermon, and David Best built the small, elegant memorial to Larry, and Reverend Billy. I mean, if you don't know who he is, you could look him up. I mean, and talking to listeners, Reverend Billy. I got reconnected there, and I got reconnected to Marion and Harley and all the former original founders of Burning Man. I got reconnected with all of them at that memorial, so it was really good to be there. It was good for the heart, soul, and Dana Albany and Flash and all these people. And so Reverend Billy was giving a sermon, but he was talking to the David Best's little temple to Larry. He was speaking to it as though he was talking to Larry. It was brilliant. It was so great. And so then there's more to that 2018 story, but basically that's my main purpose going was for that. But also after 12 years, seeing how the city not so much as changed, it changed in size. It's so big.
Well, 2018, I think, also might be the high water mark. I think That was probably, I think, like maybe it was 2018, 2019, one of those two, like definitely pre-COVID.
Yeah.
It's like that was like the largest like it ever was.
I just had my bike, which, I've always brought a bike to Burning Man. I've never pedaled so much in my life. And I would go far out to like deep playa at what's called Point 3. Point 3?
Oh, yeah.
The deepest point out there. And, because there'd be events going on out there. And then I'd come to ride back to the town, and there's the slightest headwind, just the slightest breeze. It makes your ride back so much harder. I'm just pedaling and not feeling like I'm getting it. And the city's just like, it's so lit up too now because lighting technology has changed. So everything is LED. What I miss is, back in these old days, is Burning Man. There was fire everywhere. You don't find so much fire now.
Yeah.
That's why I love, like, I'm part of Playa Restoration now, which is jumping ahead in that story. But I joined up with DA and his team to be part of Playa Restoration. But we've got fire pits,
Yeah.
And we're in charge of, there's 3 fire pits, or 4 fire pits actually.
So
and one's in front of our camp, so we always have a fire burning.
So your newest version of participation in Black Rock City is more like Playa Resto, right? So
Playa Restoration, yeah. So that's what happened after 2018. I don't know if this is boring for people to hear, talking about my anecdotal stories about it. But
you listeners love it, right?
yeah, woo, keep going, yeah.
See, yeah.
But no, I didn't go back for 6 years. And didn't know if I was going to go back. Never really thought much about it. But then I started thinking, you know what? In all the years I did Burning Man, I was involved with, I was deeply involved. And I got a great deal of satisfaction, gratification out of that. And the year that I wasn't, my first year where I really wasn't, was in 2006, because, we hadn't done an opera since the last opera was 2002. So that was over for me. And in 2006, I'd already determined that I'm stepping out of the regional role. Are we good? Yeah. So I knew that by the time I left the Playa in 2006, like when my wheels hit the pavement of Highway 34, I was no longer the regional. While I was on the Playa, I was still the regional, but I didn't have any duties in 2006. And I thought, finally, I'm not going to be managing big groups of people and people that are stoned and are missing,
herding cats, changing diapers.
Someone took too much acid and they don't know where they are. We'll find a place for them. So I thought 2006 was going to be awesome. It's like finally I get to be at Burning Man with no real duties. I could just. And it was also the shortest because I always went out to Burning Man way early for the opera to help Pepe build the temples and all that. So my longest ever was 3.5 weeks in 1998. And so in 2006, I only went for 4, and I showed up on like Wednesday. Never done that before. Show up late.
It's kind of a fun thing to do. Yeah.
No, I like the longer stays.
Well, yeah, but it's nice to kind of like to change it up sometimes. It's just
that's what I was thinking too. It's like
yeah.
I'm going to roll in on Wednesday. I got nothing to do. I'm going to camp with a few friends and
they'll set up everything. I'll leave on like Saturday or Sunday.
It's not that it was lame. It was just like I was rudderless. You ride your bike around or hop on an art car and go see some art. It's always lovely to see that and do that. But if that's all it is, it can't just be that for me. I have to be involved. I have to be. I've got to be doing something. I have to be part of a crew, a team. That's where I work best, I think. Anyway, I'm a good collaborator. I'm not a good competitor because I don't want to compete with you. I want to partner up with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I've always been that way. My mom tells me, my mom's almost 90, and she tells me how I was as a little kid. And she says, "Oh, you've always been like that." Even you'd see some other little kid, and you'd immediately just like, "Hey, how can we get up the shenanigans together?"
Yeah.
So it's just something innate. And but in 2024, I started thinking, you know what? If I go back, I can't just go back. That's the problem. So I called DA And I said, listen, man, thinking of coming back, but I can't just come back. I just told him that same story I just said. And I said, so I'd love to be part of your team, Playa Resto, if you have a spot for me. I just as a volunteer, I'm not looking for a paid job, just to volunteer, to be part of something that is, valid and useful and appreciated. And he said, fuck yeah. Yeah, I got a spot for you. Yeah. So he arranged for me to be part of the team. And so I went back in 2024 and then again last year, and I'm going to go back this year. And if I go back next year, which I intend to, that'll be 30 years since my first burn. So I got to go back in 2027.
Well, honestly, what's DA going to say? It's like, another unpaid volunteer to do Playa Resto to clean up everyone's shit. Sorry, we're all filled up. I know you're a good friend of mine, but
well, it's amazing how
couldn't use another person to help clean up.
So many volunteers, people want to do the cleanup, and especially towards the end of the event, we get flooded with people who want to stay after to do the Playa sweeps.
Yeah.
People just show up. They want to help. They want to be part of it.
And
a lot of them are
stay,
first
or
timers.
is it just like, I just want to be for like a day or two, and then they?
Well, sometimes it's all open. Yeah. It's just because there's a handful of paid staff that manage everything, and the rest of everybody are volunteers, and they're of their own free will want to do this. And
so as long as you come back with like a bag of trash, it's like you can stay.
Yeah.
They come up on you and just like, I'm just doing whippets.
Yeah. Well, no, oftentimes people show up at our camp. It's really kind of funny. They show up at our camp. Oh, you're Playa Resto. Hey, I've been walking around. They got these, like those baggage or cargo pants, and they got all this shit they found on the playa, a piece of cardboard or this or that. They're like, hey, we got all this stuff. Hey, can we throw this off here? You guys are Playa Resto. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. Thank you for doing that. Keep doing that. But take it to your camp and pack it out, please. You don't come to us to throw the garbage off at.
Yeah. Municipal waste department.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see.
You want to hear about the 1999 opera story?
Sure.
I'll tell you the commitment we had to this kind of thing.
Okay.
So the operas were always based on, Pepe was a world traveler, historian. He knew a lot about the movement of peoples and was fascinated with all this. So like the 1998 opera was based on Sumerian, ancient cultural, Dravidian stuff that I don't even know about. I don't want to talk about, I can't speak about intelligently. You should interview Christopher Fueling. He was my partner in the operas that co-produced, co-wrote, co-directed with Pepe. He's got a degree in anthropology and Master of Fine Arts degree, I believe, and he has great knowledge of this kind of thing. So
99.
What's that?
99. That was the story.
Yeah, that was the Sumerian thing. Was like that was the one with the Hindu shapes with the insect heads. That was already in motion when I jumped on board. So it was funny because 2 weeks before Burning Man, 1998, me and Christopher and Pepe were together. We jokingly called ourselves the OHC, the Opera High Command. I put that on the opera list once, and people were like, got all offended. They're like, what, we supposed to click our heels and salute you? It's like, dude, it's fucking tongue-in-cheek, man. Opera High Command. It's a ridiculous
You should have got yourself like the Noriega hat, like Napoleon hat, Noriega hat.
Oh, God. But people get easily offended. But that was no big deal. But the three of us, 2 weeks before Burning Man, in 1998, Pepe was a world sailor. He sailed around the world twice with his brother Julio. They're Argentinians, and Pepe moved to San Francisco like 40 years prior and became this amazing artist. And but he sailed around the world. He knew about a bunch of sailing. He knew about sailing, and he knew sailors. So he had a friend who had a sailboat in San Francisco. So 2 weeks before the Burning Man, 98. Pepe, Christopher, and I hopped on the boat with his friend and some other friends, and we're cruising around the bay, just having a lovely day. Everything's set for the opera. There's not much we have to do for that year's opera, because it's already all set in motion. Sculptures are built, ready to be assembled on the playa when we go there in 2 weeks. And Pepe says, so, let's talk about next year's opera. I can't talk about Pepe without doing his accent. And he says, I've always been fascinated with voodoo. So I'd like to go to Haiti, and I want to study voodoo. And base next year's opera on voodoo. So it's like, wow. So we're not even at this year's opera. We're already talking about what we're going to do next year. And so what happened over the next year is Christopher, with his big brain, and me in tow, we go into the LA Public Library and just doing tons of research. And Christopher, with his academic background and big brain kind of stuff, which I don't possess. I've got another kind of gift which I'm not sure what it is, but it's not that. Yeah. And so we photocopying stuff all about voodoo. We put together this thick 3-ring binder. We called it our Voodoo Field Guide. And we studied the fuck out of that over the whole year. And then it came time, the end of 1998 into 1999. I spent that New Year's in Jacmel, Haiti.
Really?
But Pepe went down first, and I flew down a week later. And then a week after that, Christopher flew in from Amsterdam, and Pepe's 1995 Burning Man girlfriend, her name was Andrea Zoltar, I believe, flew in from Berlin. So by the time I got to Haiti, Pepe's got this magical ability to just get in, even places he's not supposed to be, under bad penalties. Pepe could get in as one of the locals. Chameleon, amazing. It was amazing to watch. And he's one of the most amazing people I've ever known in my life. I'm so privileged to have had him as a friend. Amazing to be around that guy. And so, for example, so by the time I get to Haiti, Pepe's already befriended a mambo, a voodoo priestess. Okay. Her name was Chantal. And and Haiti's not a place you go for vacation. I've never seen poverty like that in my life. And being a white person in Haiti, I mean, you stand out. Everyone stops and stares at you, and it can be unsettling. But I'm pretty confident in who I am typically, and so I was never frightened or anything. But it's like you're aware of it.
Yeah.
So, but here's a quick aside. There's a guy I used to work with. He was a grip, Tim Pershing and his wife, and they had adopted Haitian children.
Okay.
They lived up in Topanga Canyon. So Pepe came down from San Francisco, stayed with me, and we took a trip to Topanga to Tim and his wife's house to talk about Haiti and voodoo and what our purposes were. And they said, at best what you guys are going to get being white down there, they know you have, even if you're not rich, they're going to see you as rich, as a money source. And they'll put on some fakey voodoo performances for you just to get money out of you. That's the best you could hope for. Bullshit, not when you're traveling with Pepe. So I get down there. Pepe's already hooked in with his Chantal. Chantal's brother, his name was Medine. Medine was this tall, good-looking gay man, Haitian man, who ran a brothel. And we would hang out at the brothel. I wasn't partaking, no. But
the business trip.
But so I got a voodoo priestess. Her brother, who runs a brothel, surrounded by Haitian sex workers, and they had beer there, and the rum they drink down there is called Barbacoa rum, and so we're just drinking, carrying on, and Chantal is part of a voodoo community up in the hills above Jacmel. You have to roll up your pants and cross a river, and then walk up all these dirt roads and get to this voodoo community run by a guy named Papa Jean-Claude. It was his voodoo community. And so Pepe and I, this is like before Christopher and Andrea showed up, went up there numerous times to arrange to stay there and to learn about voodoo from a voodoo priest at his voodoo community. And Pepe spoke and understood some French, but the French that they speak in Haiti is a Creole, and it's completely fucked up. So Pepe's trying to grok what they're saying. So in the negotiations we're having with him, and we told him exactly why we're there, that we're learning, going to apply the voodoo in a performative way at
We want
Burning
to
Man.
make an opera at this thing called Burning Man.
Right. Well, no, we explained it as well as we could. Or I say we.
crazy white people.
Pepe did it because so Pepe. Pepe. So Papa Jean Claude says. So basically, you want the séminaire. Séminaire was the word. So Pepe grokked that to mean seminar, like. And so we agreed. It's like, okay, we're going, okay, yeah, so we're going to be up there. We're going to live on that voodoo community. When Christopher and Andrea show up, the four of us are going to go up there. We're going to live there. And Papa Jean-Claude's going to give us the ins and outs of voodoos. And we're going to see voodoo ceremonies and all the stuff. Well, we go up there, and there's a giant voodoo ceremony going on. And it's a really special one. And the entire community comes out. There's hundreds of people around. And me, Pepe, and Christopher, and Andrea are there enjoying it. And if you've ever been to a voodoo ceremony, the drums going, and what are called the unsi are these women all dressed in white who twirl and dance and sing. And the Ogene Khan, I think, is the lead singer, the leader of the unsi. And they had fires burning, all this shit going on, and we're just there enjoying, and people get possessed. It's
It's like speaking in tongues or whatever. It's like the
but
spirit takes you
so
and moves you.
so
like,
this it's called the peristyle. It's like the temple where the voodoo ceremonies take place. In the middle of every peristyle is a pole. It goes from the center of the roof to the ground. And in voodoo, they have a cross. It's not a Christian cross. It's just like a plus sign. And what that symbolizes is the horizontal line is like above that is the spirit realm, and below that is us. And the vertical line is the pipeline from the one to the other. And so they got all these voodoo spirits. And so Papa Jean Claude was impressed with how much we knew about all the different voodoo spirits. So the main voodoo spirit that has to be conjured first is Papa Legba. He's the gatekeeper between our profane world and the esoteric secret world. So you say you want Dambala, which is the snake spirit, to visit because you need certain things to ask Dambala. And Dambala's wife, Ida Wado, they're snake spirits, right? So you have to ask permission to Papa Legba first. But the thing with Papa Legba, always says yes. But that doesn't preclude you from excluding him from the ceremony. You always have to say, Papa Legba, will you allow, And the way you know that spirit, and I'm not a believer in religion, by the way, and I'm just like kind of anti, but this is all fascinating sociological study for me. The way the congregation knows that Dambala is there is someone gets possessed, falls on the ground, starts crawling around like a snake. And then the voodoo priest gets a rattle out. It's called Nasson, ASSON, with a bell on it, and they start ringing it around that person, and they get the person's eyes are all entranced. But then at some point, so we're watching all this happen, the ceremony. What we didn't know was when we negotiated for the séminaire, séminaire didn't mean seminar, it meant seminary, like a seminary where people go to become priests, right? So now all of a sudden, the Unsi who are singing, and the drums are beating, the crazy, awesome beats, you got the Rada beat and the Petro beat. It's fascinating. And so all the Unsi are now coming towards us and singing, and they take us, the four of us, to the center of the fucking room. And then they put hoods over our heads. There's drums and singing, and the whole community is out there. And this is where I started thinking, okay, here's where these former black slaves get revenge on white guy, and they're gonna machete me to death. The shit that goes through the mind. And then I surrendered to that. I said, if that's what happens, then that's the story of me. And of course that didn't happen. And then all of a sudden, they're spinning us around in circles. You can feel their hands on us, and they're spinning us, and then they start walking us, and then we feel roots of trees because it's jungly there under our feet, and the drums and the singing of the Unsi are still, they're getting farther and farther away, but the Unsi that are guiding us and spinning us and walking with us are still singing. So we have the singers close, and you can hear the other singers and the drums moving further and further away. Huh. And then all of a sudden, we're in some sort of building. And they force us kind of down by the shoulders in a seated position. They put our legs out. You got to have your legs straight out. Okay. And then they took the hoods off us, and we're in this little 12-foot by 12-foot concrete room with leaves all over the floor. And there's an altar there with all these voodoo things on it. Wow. And candles burning, and the Unsi are just singing, and then they sing, and they just walk out. And we're sitting there going, what the fuck? What? And they go back, and the voodoo ceremony rages into the night. This was the start of our initiation. Wow. So for 7 days and 7 nights, we didn't know this, had to stay in that room. Could not leave that room.
Oh, wow. They
would come in and do rituals with us, even including killing of chickens and putting chicken blood on us. We would get bored in there. The leaves were some sort of sacred plant that they put on. They would replenish them every now and then. They'd come in with new bags of leaves and put them on the ground. And they would just come in. They wouldn't come in for, sometimes like a whole day. We're sitting there, they would feed us, but it was like sparse food in Haiti. But the best meal we had was the chickens that they killed and put the blood on us and everything. They cooked those up and we ate that. But just out of boredom and wanting to exercise, we would do shit. We would just like stand up, the four of us, and we'd just walk in a circle in the 12-foot room. Then we started doing figure eight, so we would bump into each other in the middle, and at the end of it all, 7 days later, they had a tailor come in to measure us, because when you graduate, when you're baptized, you had to all be in brand new, never worn before, white. So they made us white button-down shirt, white pants, and they put straw hats on us for Papa Loco, is agricultural voodoo spirit. Papa Loco. That's why the opera in 1999 was called Le Mystère de Papa Loco. And then we were graduating. We were set free from that room, and there was a voodoo ceremony, and we learned all these things, like with the asan. We got our own asan, the rattles with the bells. I still have them at home. Yeah. There's like secret handshakes. Like the voodoo priest in charge, Papa Jean-Claude, would tap his on his head 3 times, and I would have to put my leg out and go like this on my leg. Then he would go like this on his shoulder, and then I would have to go tap 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 on my on my neck or whatever. It's like a call and response, but you have to remember how they work. So each one of us had to do that with Papa Jean-Claude, and then we were voodoo priests. So technically,
you're a voodoo priest right now.
So this is the kind of commitment we had to do whatever we had to do for that fucking opera, and for Burning Man. Wow. Pretty fucking heavy. Wow. I still trip on it. It's like, fuck, I can't believe I did that shit.
But nowadays people are thinking about like, well, I gotta get the trailer size generator and rent the RV and have Playa Services deliver me water.
Yeah, see, I'm one of those people now. I just bought an RV a few weeks ago.
It's like trying to go to Haiti and being locked in a room for 7 days, and you come out a voodoo priest.
Yeah. How are we on time? Because I could talk about this stuff all day, but I think listeners will get bored. You start talking about stories.
Like your Burning Man experience, but let's briefly just go over like your background, like your pre-Burning Man. Like, did you grow up in LA? Like, where were you?
Yeah. I was born in San Pedro, Port Town. Great place to grow up, but I had to get out of there, so I moved north of there towards like Hollywood area. Venice, lived in Venice Beach a lot, but various areas. I lived in downtown LA. I lived in Santa Monica. I lived in Culver City. I lived in Venice 4 times. It's at one point, all roads led back to Venice Beach for me. I lived in Venice, I moved out of Venice. Next time I moved back to Venice. I moved somewhere else, I moved back to Venice. It's like, so that was my primary stomping grounds, Hollywood area, all that. And I got in the film business in 1985, movie business. And so, but I always wanted to produce. I wanted to produce films. What I really did was I became not initially, but I started off as a grip and I segued into lighting, and I kind of stayed there. But I had a production company for a number of years. I produced a movie, it won awards. It was invited to 21 film festivals all over the world. My partners and I thought we had it made. Now, couldn't get a decent distribution deal. We got one, but it was shitty. And then we chased other projects after that, and it would get so close to getting made, and somebody invariably would say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person, and all your years of prepping that project just turns into vapor and never comes back. So after a while, it's like I always had my union lighting job, and it was fine. It provided me. I could if I don't want to work for 3 months, I just don't go to work for 3 months. And when I come back, it's all networking. I got friends. Hey, man, I'm available if you hear of anything. And almost immediately, my phone starts ringing, and you pick up where you left off. So that's one reason I was able to do so much time at Burning Man, because I was super active in my movie job back then. But it's like I saved up a pile of money, and I'm gonna just fuck off to Burning Man for, the next 2 months. I'll just spend dedicated to that.
Now you have your lucrative career as a voodoo priest in Rhode Island too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get this to our final question. The impact and influence of Burning Man on your life.
You kidding? After all these stories, you kidding?
That's done nothing for me at all. It was just spread up burden.
I don't know. I think the stories tell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or do they not? Should I come up with something else?
Well, it's not this anchor that's been
Say it again.
down.
Say it again.
Well, what has been Burning Man's impact and influence on your life? I mean, we're not going to go through like, oh, what if Burning Man never happened? Where would you be? Because like, how are you going to say that? But like, I don't know. Like,
how did it?
What effect did it have on your life?
Well, I don't know.
Because you're involved in the Burning Man's or the local party scene in LA, like before this, and then you're like, oh yeah, and then you meet Pepe, and then all this and that, like what kept you coming back, or even now, like after all these years, like why go back?
Well, when you're living your peak experience in life, you tend to want to keep it going, and basically, I think that's the answer to that. And fun. It's like I've always been about having as much fun as humanly possible, and boy, that place provides it if you want it to. It also puts things under a microscope. Many relationships have eaten shit at Burning Man, and other ones have blossomed. So it puts life under a microscope. But as far as enjoyment of life, that was fertile ground, and. So for me, it was fertilizer.
Burning Man is fertilizer. You heard that here.
Right.
It's just shit, kid.
Yeah, it's just shit. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And you see yourself, I mean, because you're now doing like Playa Resto.
Oh, that's right. We never even got into any of that. But I volunteer for Playa Resto. So I don't stay there for the whole sweep. I don't know if people need explanations of the sweep. Like after the event is gone, everything's gone. Yeah. And the BLM is going to come in and do an environmental impact survey, EIS. But prior to that happens usually in early October, everything has to be swept. So the entire space that Burning Man took, like everything's gone, so you have no point of reference for where anything was. But they got GPS coordinates, so everything is put into a grid, and they got people arm's length walking the entire grid. I think it's 5 square miles, walking slowly across and picking up any little thing, and it's amazing the shit they find. Even though the community's largely really, really good about cleaning up, invariably. Things will come up from even past years. Maybe things that were missed, that were further under in the rains. Shit will come up for that.
Is it always like in the same spot though, or do they kind of like move the city around?
I think if it moves very slightly. But I can't speak intelligently about that.
The golden spike in, which is the man in the center. It's not always.
No, it's not always the same spot. But it's probably pretty close.
Yeah. And so also like for Burning Man to get its permit for the next year from the Bureau of Land Management, it's like they have to pass this like.
So that's what the sweeps happen after the event. When the sweeps are done in early October, I think October 2nd this year or last year was the cutoff date or something like that, and that's when the BLM comes in, interface with the Burning Man org, and they what they do is they randomly pick spots in that whole, I think it's 5 square miles. I don't know.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah. So they just pick random spots to check, and everything being on that grid, there's a certain amount of MOOP, which is matter out of place, right? There's a certain amount of MOOP that's acceptable for like each square yard. Let's say if there's enough MOOP that fits in my hand, well, that's acceptable. Anything more than that in that size doesn't pass. So they'll just pick random spots anywhere, and see what was picked up there, and every year Burning Man passes like exceptionally well.
Well, it's never,
in 2003,
never failed. I mean,
I'm sorry?
It's never failed.
No, it's never failed, but and they got their worst points, I think, in 2023, which I wasn't there. That was the mud year. So the mud got, and people trying to get out and digging up the playa and all the stuff that was even buried further down. So it was a nightmare. I was asking my colleagues in Playa Resto about that year, and they said, "Oh, fucking nightmare to clean up." You know, like the people were putting things on the ground because that mud gets so slippery. Like last year, I fucking slipped twice hard, just landed on my ass hard. Just both my legs just came out from under me, just like whoop, on your ass.
So
and
what were they putting down?
So they would put down, like, say, you know, that kind of shade net that they use at center camp, or it's like construction shade. It's like black but stretchy and translucent, but it provides good shade. They put that on the ground, and then people walking on it because they're trying anything to allay the mud problem, and it would just get buried down, and then it would dry.
And then they couldn't.
And then that shit, and it just gets. They pull it out, and it just rips, and so all this other shit just buried under hard clumps of mud now. So they had to bring out equipment and smash it and dig it all out. They said it was a nightmare. Yeah, but they got it done. But that year was the closest they ever came to not passing, and it was still miles ahead of not passing. You know, so they do a good job, and it's always good to encourage the community to keep picking up their shit. Take care of your stuff.
What would be the ground covering that Playa Resto would recommend that people would use? Like,
oh God, that's a question better for like DA. You got to interview DA.
Yeah, you hear that, DA?
Yeah.
Coming for you.
Sorry, DA.
All right. Well, let's see now. It's been an hour and 20. Yeah. I mean, I think something which I might do, contemplating, is having like a second time go around with like, I'm going to kind of put it out to like all of my previous like interviewees and just see if like anyone's kind of interested. But like, I don't know, maybe next year or at some point in the future, if you ever want to. Like, yeah, I'm sure you've got tons more stories.
Oh, sure.
We could go on.
Oh God, yeah, we could go on and on. Yeah. Like even that voodoo story, there's a lot that is left out.
Yeah. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. And I can't give away the secrets anyway.
Oh no.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was great. It was great. It's fun to talk about this stuff.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please subscribe, rate, and review it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. The more reviews the show has, the more likely it will even appear in search results. Also, please tell a friend and share this show with anyone that you think might like it. Word of mouth reaches quite far, especially in the Burning Man community. If you would like to contact us, please send an email to shadowofthemanpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow Shadow of the Man on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, X, and YouTube. The links for all of these are available at shadowoftheman.com. Feel free to use any of these social media accounts to provide any feedback you might have. Your thoughts on the show are greatly appreciated. Thank you, and see you soon for a new episode of The Shadow of the Man.
Thank you for listening to this latest show. We have to make another one, so gotta go. Don't worry, for next month we already have one in the can. Very soon you'll be listening to a new Shadow of the Man.